Welcome to today's episode of the AI Trailblazer Podcast. Today we have a very exciting guest. He is none other than Yoav, the co-founder and CEO at RiderDome. So Yoav, it's a great pleasure to have you here with us on the podcast today. So let's start off a bit about yourself and then why you decided to start RiderDome.
So, hi Bruce, it's really exciting to be here. So, let me share a little bit about myself. I arrived to Singapore 14 years ago. While I started my career as a worker in a big high-tech companies, soon after I became an entrepreneur. I created a startup called Singapore Dine, which provided a restaurant and dining portal. We evolved to food delivery and we sold it. We had an exit. We sold it to Food Panda. We had another company related to wearable devices, which we sold. Then I created Impact Tech, which is an accelerator program in Singapore for impact-driven startups. So we worked with a lot of companies, actually more than 400 startups, and we duplicated the center to Tokyo and Bangkok. So we were proud to be the first Singaporean accelerator which exported itself. So it's not only exporting startup, it's exporting the know-how how to build stuff. So this is what I did until something happened. And what happened is I'm always on motorcycles, and I was driving my motorcycle. I was about to turn. I looked in the mirror. There was nothing there, but I did not turn my head as I should have, and the car almost hit me. And why? Because the car was in my blind spot. I was quite scared, and I thought, I'm sure there is such a device, such as like Mobileye or ADAS for cars. We have it for motorcycles, those alerts. And I went to AliExpress and to other websites and I could not find anything. And then I thought, wow, this is a huge opportunity to save riders' lives and also great financial opportunity. And this is the moment where we started RiderDome to provide those real-time alerts for motorcycle riders and save lives. So this is what the burst point of RiderDome.
That is an awesome origin story that you have there. It started as a mission to save life and also a great financial vehicle, as you said earlier, solving a major pain point in the industry. So yeah, now let's talk a bit about RiderDome. How does it help riders exactly? Maybe you can share more about that.
Absolutely. So RiderDome have two parts. The first part is riding assistant, which means we are putting a camera in the front and in the back of the motorcycle. We are processing the image by using Vision AI, and then we provide real-time alert for the rider. Now, the rider receives the alert on a system that is installed on the mirror stem, right and left. So the alert is blinking lights and sound. So we affect two senses simultaneously. The main alerts that we provide are the alerts that are similar to what you receive in cars, such as a collision alert, safe distance alert, blind spot, etc. So this is one part, the rider assistant. The second part of RiderDome, we are sending all the information to the cloud, providing fleets of motorcycles visibility on where the riders are, how they behave, and by using AI, we can analyze their safety profile. For example, riders that are maybe will hurt themselves and their surrounding, and maybe worse seeing what's going on with them compared to very safe riders, so that you can actually encourage, including other things such as fetching video remotely. This saves a lot of money to those fleets in case of an accident, so they can share it with insurance. So this is RiderDome from one part, the real-time alert. The second part is sending all the information to the cloud.
Okay, understand. Thank you for sharing more about this. So now let's talk a bit about your role within the company and then how does it fit into the bigger picture at RiderDome?
Well, as a founder of the company, I have also a partner. And my partner, her name is Kineret, and the CTO, which is Guy. So we three of us founded the company. Me, as a COO of the company, the main role is to look ahead and see the areas which other may miss. So part of the role of a startup CEO is to imagine a future that do not exist today. and know how to navigate the startup to this future. From our perspective, my future is it's obvious that in the future, every motorcycle should go out from the manufacturing line with those built-in alert unit powered by AI. Same as cars. Now I can see the future. I also see the future that no fleets of motorcycles, rather than if you're delivery or law enforcement, you don't have the fleet without safety system to protect your riders. This is the vision that I see. And my job as a CEO is to navigate the ship toward this vision. Now, one of the challenges is to imagine a vision or reality that do not exist today and to convince others in the realities that you see. So this is part of the CEO job. In addition, my background is product, so I'm always heavily involved in the product itself, its features, capabilities, etc. So this is my role, basically.
Right. Yeah, sounds like, as with any other startup CEOs, it is both an exciting and challenging role. You get to be wearing a lot of different hats. So, what would you say as the founder and co-founder and CEO? What are some of the most important metrics that you want to improve on to ensure that the company is growing as you intended?
In our case, one of the most important things is to generate awareness to our solution. And I'll explain. When there is a product in the market that people are aware of its existence, and your job is just to make sure they will choose you compared to others, it's one story. But when no one knows about the existing of this solution, you need to create global awareness to the solution with the challenges around. I'll give you an example. Let's assume that you are CEO of certain cyber companies. Now, CISOs around the world, they need cyber solution, and you need to be better compared to others. But they will look for a solution. In our case, if you, for example, the safety manager of a big fleet of, let's say, big food delivery, you do not know or aware that there is a company like us that uses AI to actually keep your rider safe. So our job is to make sure that you are aware of us. And this is quite challenging.
Okay, so you talked about generating more awareness. I would like to clarify something about that. How would you measure success in this area? And then also, what are the steps you are taking now to generate more awareness for Rider Tone?
So we do awareness in two aspects. One is we are participating in trade shows related to mobility and logistics. This gives us a good access. Second is to work with resellers and partners, because this become where one-to-many effort. Let's give an example. If we are working with a big dealership of motorcycles, he is involved with deals with a lot of companies from different fleets, different aspects. So it can actually be a great, power duplicators to talk about us and our solution to the market. And lastly is direct approach. So direct approaching big motorcycle fleets and share, the value that we can bring to them.
Awesome. And then I guess you mentioned like three different approaches, right? What would you say have been some of the more effective approaches, and then what are some that hasn't worked as well as you intended?
It's a good question. I think that the one-to-one approach or the direct approach is the most effective. But the challenge is it's slow and it consumes a lot of resources from a startup, which you don't have a lot of resources. So it's the most effective, yes, in terms of the results, but it's a slow process. So I would recommend for other entrepreneurs actually to combine those three. So from one end, the direct approach. The other is find your power duplicators, the resellers of your solution. And the last is those trade shows or events. Because those trade shows, you never know who will see your solution, and you never know the outcome, and you never know what will happen and when it will happen. But trust me, always good thing happen.
Is it expensive to go on these trade shows though, to have a booth there? And then, especially
Hmm.
for startup companies, they might not have the funds, especially if they are bootstrapped.
Well, Bruce, it's a great question, but it's not straightforward answer, because sometimes you can piggyback on other company. Let's assume that you have another company in domain like you, that you decide actually to partner with them and share the costs. So, for example, a company that provide a fleet solution for cars and they have nothing about motorcycles. So why not join forces and share a booth? So also how you use your resources, be innovative. Don't need to go for straightforward everything. I think, when you become entrepreneur, it's not only be innovative in your solution, be innovative in your go-to-market, be innovative in how you consume your resources, etc. So, yeah, adopt innovation not only in your core business.
That is a very valuable advice, not just for me, but for all the other possible entrepreneurs that are starting out, right? Yeah, that are just starting out. So let's talk about the goals for the company. Where do you want to be 6 to 12 months from now?
So we divided the motorcycle world to three segments. One is motorcycle fleets. The other is an aftermarket for individuals that buy new or used motorcycles to install the safety system. And lastly, the OEM, the manufacturers. Okay, so those are the three segments. We decided to start with fleets because the deals are quite big and it allows us to receive a lot of feedback. And also to implement a SaaS model, which is a subscription model for from the customer. The next step of the company or where we want to grow is to evolve our solution for both OEMs and the aftermarket. Now, while the core technology may be the same, but the product is very different. For example, when you sell something to the individual, B2C, or through dealership or on the online, the product needs to be perfect because someone will receive a box, he will open the box, install, it needs to work good. If not, he will just, publish and say, hey, your product is not good enough or whatever. It's very opposite from B2B, which you get immediate feedback from the customer. He can, guide you, instruct you, can improve or adjust things for him. The individual, no. You do not have any contact with the one who buys your product. So it needs to be very good. Along with other things, such as packaging, support, etc. So it's all about productizing it differently, while the core technology is same. With the OEM, it's a different story. So with the OEM, with the manufacturer of motorcycles, the business model will be a bit different. They are interested in the software. So they will take care of all the hardware because the alerts will be part of the coolness of the look and feel of their bike. So the business model will be to license the technology, just license the software for them. So as you can see, this is the good thing in RiderDome, but also the challenging part. So we have a technology that can fit different segments, and each of them have a very complete business model. Now, I would encourage other entrepreneurs also look at your solution and think to yourself, hey, can the core technology also be useful for other segments or other markets? With slight change, you may have a completely new product and a new business model.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 100% agree there. So, what would you say are the steps that you are taking right now in order to expand successfully to some of these other different markets like the OEMs, other than innovating on a product, packaging it in a slightly different way to appeal more to them?
So, what we decided to do is to partner with bigger companies that have more knowledge and more muscles to solve such a big problem. So, we are now in the process of partnering with a tier one company. Now, let me explain what is tier one. In the automotive world, there is an OEM, which is the brand itself. Let's say Honda, Suzuki, Harley Davidson, etc. Now, tier ones are those companies who provide the components to those companies. Components can be a dashboard, braking system, wheel, whatever. Now, those tier ones already have access to the market, to the OEMs. They know how to craft the deals and have the manufacturing power. So this is where we are now. We are partnering with such tier one who can actually lift us to this market. So we can do what we are good at. We are good at the software, at the AI and the algorithm, etc. And we partner with someone good with the other things that we are lacking. Again, something that I would encourage other entrepreneurs. Think what is your core strengths and maybe consider partnering with another company who can actually fulfill the parts which are, you're a bit missing, such as access to the market.
Okay, sounds like you have a very good understanding of the market you are in so far. So now let's talk a bit about the challenges. What are some of the biggest challenges or obstacles that you have faced while growing Rider?
Well, the list of challenges in a startup is very, very long, but I will try to mention one or two that are relevant for us and maybe others. One challenge is how to scale. Our product today, we sell it in a concept which we call land and expand. So we start with a pilot, we go to a fleet, a few motorcycles. So we are landing our solution and expanding after the pilot. And meanwhile, we have 100% success. There is a bigger order. Now, while it works quite good, but this process is not fast. It takes time. So we need to take under consideration that our sales cycle is long. So it's a challenge that we are now working. How can we shorten this
How long is it?
this sales cycle?
Just to give like a better idea.
I'll give you an example. So a fleet of motorcycle, we likely start with the pilot, which will take about a month or two on a few motorcycles, let's say 3 motorcycles, and then they will install it on part of the fleet, maybe a few hundreds or something, and then we'll expand to the entire fleet. I can give you, for example, one of our customers is Singapore Post. So we started with the pilot. They really liked the solution. We helped reduce accidents. And then we expanded to more motorcycles in the fleet. So we need this is a challenge that you have a bit of a long sales cycle. But the advantage is that once customer adopt you, it's challenging to replace you. Although at this point we do not have direct competitors in the market, we're quite unique here, but there will be competition. We're sure there will be competition, but this process of heavily engaging with the customer from pilot, checking the pilot, partial installment, big installment, it will protect our domain with the customer. So this is an example to a challenge that we have. So also other entrepreneurs think about how you can shorter your sales cycle.
Yeah, makes sense. So can you give me like a better idea of how long is your sales cycle on average? Let's say from when they first started the pilot to them eventually onboarding the rest of the fleet. And then also like what are the steps that you are taking right now to shorten this sales cycle?
Hmm. Sales cycle can take about 4 or 5 months, and this is after we engage with the customer. The way we want to shorter is as we grow the company, we say to customers, hey, you don't really need to pilot by yourself. We have enough customers today that you can just pick up the phone, let's create an introduction call with one of our customers, and they will give you a feedback about us. So we are now moving to a step which we can overcome the need, or sometimes overcome the need of having a pilot.
I see. Okay, so it's relying on existing customer testimonials or referrals to, build that trust with the new prospect, which helps you to close faster.
Indeed, building a trust with the customer is the most important thing. Invest in it. Sometimes, we tend to, you finish a sale, there is installation, and kind of, okay, you think to yourself, okay, the customer is using my product, he's happy, probably all is good. But no, keep engaged. Also, you can learn so much from your customer. So there's engagement, maybe once a month, once in 2 months, sit with him, ask him, what would you like more? What we can change, what we can improve. This is a valuable lesson that we learned. I would like to share it here with other entrepreneurs. Don't forget it. Don't forget your customers.
Yeah, that is a very important lesson indeed, because customers are the bedrock of any business success. So you've pointed out quite a couple of different challenges at this point, like the long sales cycle as well as, trying to cater the product to different industries. But let's say hypothetically, if you had a magic wand to fix one thing in the business right now that is either holding you back or, slowing down your progress to get to your goals, what would that one thing be?
If I would have a magic wand, I would ask this magic wand, please make sure that all or relevant people in the world know our. So there is a solution to reduce motorcycle accidents and save lives. Today, the situation is catastrophic. 150,000 motorcycle riders die every year from motorcycle accidents. Now, it's a huge number. It's like a city vanished from Earth. And we should not accept this reality. And this is a message that, if I could magically do, this is a message I would like to say to the world. Hey, there is a solution that can actually drop or change this horrific. Look at the motorcycle world. It was really left behind. You see, the cars evolved with ADAS and technology and AI. It's moving computers. It's amazing what happened with cars and how it dropped accident by 30%. But you take a motorcycle from 50 years ago to a motorcycle today, basically you have the same machine. You want to change this.
That is a very impactful mission that your company is embarking on to save riders' life and disrupt this otherwise, I guess, backwards industry without much innovation. So now let's talk a bit, since you're on that same tangent, let's talk a bit about the industry trends. What kind of shifts are you seeing in your industry right now, and then how has that impacted the business of Rider Dome?
Actually, there are several very important shifting or changes in the industry which play to our favor. One of them is moving to electric motorcycles. So there is a shift today, the same as the cars, to move to electric motorcycles. Now, where it plays to our favor, when you're moving in your car from an engine or fuel car to electric car, your expectation to have also a new driving experience. You want the more safety and electronics and all those gadgets. The same is the expectation of moving from a fuel motorcycle to electric motorcycles. You want involvement not in the engine, not only clean, but you want safer and smarter. So this change actually played to our favor, and those manufacturers are looking for new technologies to put to place on the motorcycle. So this is one change to our favor. Second, cities around the world encourage more and more the usage of two-wheelers in the urban area. And why? Because they don't like cars. Cars disrupt cities, traffic jams, slow traffic, pollution, etc. So actually cities encourage motorcycles, and those are mainly electric motorcycles. We can see this shift in Europe, for example. So we see more and more of those motorcycles. On top of it, cities now rely on the delivery. If it's food delivery, if it's the last mile gadget that we buy from maybe AliExpress, or the clothes that we buy, or the groceries that we buy, those all rely on two-wheelers. So we see the number of also the two-wheelers grow. However, as the number of motorcycles grow, the number of accidents also grow. And this is where the fleets and the municipalities are looking for a solution. And this is where we are coming to help to mitigate the accident. So those are the key two changes. Now, there is another change, which is a regulatory change. And I'll explain. If you want to run, for example, a fleet of buses or a fleet of taxis of trucks, almost every country, by the regulations, you must have some kind of safety and tracking system. Now, motorcycle, until now, it was left behind. You want to start like a delivery company, run your 500 motorcycle, tomorrow you can do it, do whatever you want, But this is changing. Government says, hey, you need to be responsible for the riders. The taxpayer should not pay for the riders who are running accidents and smashes on the road. You need to take action. And we see regulation now looking at enforcing, putting some kind of safety and monitoring systems for the motorcycle. So again, play to our favor. Those are the main changes in the industry.
See. Okay, got it. When you talk about the regulation changes, do you notice this that is more apparent in certain countries or certain regions?
Well, Bruce, it's a good question because definitely there is a change between or perspective between different countries. There are countries which safety is very important for them and they heavily invest in it, such as our country, Singapore. They take safety very seriously. Human lives are very valuable here, and the government invests not only money but also thoughts and effort to deal with it. So this is an example to a country which looking at regulation. I don't know exactly what will happen in the future, but I know they are working on it. Other countries, such as the EU, also, the EU as a whole, they take safety very seriously. So we see kind of them looking and driving regulation related to safety. Imagine yourself that almost every working segment, for example, in Singapore, there are safety regulations. For example, you work in constructions, you must wear a helmet, harness, whatever you need. If you work in a restaurant, you must have sprinklers against fire or smoke detectors, etc. By law. This is where we see the shift will happen. Also, if you run your motorcycle fleet by law, you hopefully you will need to use some kind of safety system and monitor system for your work.
Okay, yeah, that is. Thanks for painting a clearer picture. So, moving forward, what are some of your biggest priorities for Rider Dome that would drive the most amount of growth or impact?
Well, we want to think, as I mentioned, one is awareness. Second, customer base. Have more customers, mainly at this point, the fleets of motorcycles, and get to the market with an aftermarket solution for individuals within 12 months from now. This will be the direction or the focus of the company today.
Will that only be in Singapore, or do you only also plan to expand to other regions?
Actually, we work mostly in other regions. For example, we work in Barcelona. Barcelona municipality motorcycles are using us. We are installed in Mexico, in Kenya. Our biggest installation, for example, is in Indonesia. The customer is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola run huge logistics fleets. We have 500 bikes there, as well as, of course, the home country of Rider Dome in Singapore. So we look at this, how we expand globally. And part of our strategy is to approach and work with customers who have global presence.
Okay, I see. Well, that is actually about it for the podcast interview. Yoav, once again, thank you for taking the time to jump on this podcast and sharing these valuable insights with our audience. I'm sure they have learned a lot here. Same for me as well. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you, Bruce. It was a pleasure being here today. Take care.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cheers.